Uncle Percy was a bloke who knew how to save a few quid. A hard-working man who had always done manual jobs, but with plenty of side interest to earn a bit extra. As he explained to me once, a side interest keeps you interested in your work. Otherwise, why would you go? Throughout my childhood, he was always there in the background. My first toy pedal tractor. Uncle Percy got wind I wanted one, and a few days later, he duly arrived with a battered to hell item, rescued from Lord knows where. I played on it for hours and hours in the garden. It's one of my favourite toys. One Christmas, Dad had no time to get us a tree. Uncle Percy and a random bloke appeared next day at our house with a huge thing just still dripping with sap. Being Gran's brother, he was always there at some point when we visited. After my grandparents died, he would call in on my parents and uncles too, helping out where and if he could. Never having a landline phone in order to save money, you would get a call from him in the phone box. If he wanted to get in touch, then an appointment to call him there at the set time was arranged. Money saving tips abounded. My favourite being that if you were going away on a holiday, then take the batteries out of your clocks, as who the hell were they telling the time to? September 1994. Letting my evening meal go down, sat quietly in my parents' living room, the phone rang. It was Uncle Percy in the kiosk. Your Uncle Reg has got you some car and lorry batteries at his place. Reg's mates dropped off a few earlier, but there ain't that many. OK, Perce. I'll go over tomorrow with the lorry after I've tipped, I answered. No, boy, that's no good. He wants 'em gone tonight. His landlord's going round tomorrow and he doesn't want him seeing them as it would cause shit. You gotta come now, boy. Pick me up outside the phone box on your way. Pips went, phone down. If it couldn't be said in 10 pence worth, then it wasn't said at all. That was Uncle Percy. I grabbed some gloves and a coat, jumped into the mini clubman estate, and set off on the 12-mile outward journey. Figuring the car could more than cope with half a dozen or so old batteries, I found Percy, as arranged, outside the kiosk, arguing with some kids on BMX bikes who had been pissing in it. Setting off to my Uncle Reg's, that was Percy's brother, I had the radio on. We don't want that on, waste fuel, powering that noisy thing, my uncle said, turning it off. In all the years I knew him, and all the cars he owned, he never turned on a car radio, as long as I could remember. I backed down Reg's drive and opened the car's twin rear doors, ready to load. Like my mum, Great Uncle Reg was an antique dealer. His shed always full of various items, furniture and bric-a-brac waiting to be sold on. Him and Percy went into huddle, then started bringing the scrap batteries out. Better fold the seats down, there's a few more to come, said Reg. I was starting to get concerned, looking at the car's rear tyres, which were beginning to seem a little sickly. Still, my uncles kept coming out with more bloody batteries. Dusk had arrived on this chilly autumn evening, but none of us were cold, humping 20-kilo batteries a pop about. The low bed floor was now covered. Austin didn't design its hydroelastic mini estate rear suspension to carry lorry batteries around, so it was down on its arse. Percy told me there were still 5 more to come. I had him put them in the front passenger footwell, this in a vague attempt to balance out the weight a bit. With him loaded in too, his feet up on the things, I borrowed Uncle Reg's foot pump, blowing the rear tyres up to 45 psi. The wheels buried deep in the car's arches, we set off back. I soon discovered the 1098cc engine was struggling for power, but lack of speed was the least of my worries. Potholes, manhole covers, even bloody cat's eyes caused bone-jarring crashes to the rear end. It was dark by the time I tipped Percy in his ancient donkey jacket out back at his house. I still had to get back to the yard, which was 6 miles away, but more to the point, the other side of the hills. I couldn't really get much of a run-up, as the car was going round corners like a ruptured stoat. Without Percy in the front, the exhaust back box kept touching the road, sending sparks out into the night in my rear-view mirrors. With forward progress getting less, I was starting to get a bit of a tailback behind me. Cresting the hill and crawling along at 20 miles an hour, a few feet further and we would have been down into first gear. I now had another problem. The steep incline up became the steep incline down. Speed was building, but I held the car in second gear. Now mini brakes are tiny drums and crap at the best of times. I kept dabbing them rather than jumping on the pedal, this in a vague effort to try and save them from fading and overheating. As I came to the turn-off for my yard, I took one last stab and shoved my foot to the floor, also yanking on the handbrake lever. Swerving round the corner, we just got round. Despite now being on rough back lanes, at least there was no traffic and I could just tootle along. I unloaded my cargo inside of the shed at the yard when I got back, then drove out and went straight to bed. In the morning, I was surprised to see the Mini didn't look too bad, though I'd let the tyres down a bit to soften the ride. On counting up the batteries at the yard, they numbered 36. That was rather more than I thought, and a quick calculation meant the car had dragged at least twice its own weight home. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, would like to hear more, please subscribe to my channel and also share, as it really is appreciated. Cheers. Take care.